Tones on, tones only, tones only, tones only, tones only. What's up? We back at it again. Turned, got my pink sweatshirt on, cap free. Holla at me if you're trying to put your hands on one, cap free, because this is where we stay cap free, no cap, all that good stuff. And so, it's your man DM. This is Tones Only podcast where we talk about tones of life, changing the tones of the colors of the feelings of the thoughts of the sounds of everything that we are. We're trying to tone it up and tune it up so we could be in tune to everything that should be the way it should be. So, Tones Only podcast. So, welcome back again. This is episode 8, and yeah, this is episode 8. Episode 7 was pretty dope. Deal or no deal. Just kind of talking about how we make deals. They don't need to be made sometimes, but I digress. But I got a good one today because I was reading something the other day, and perspective is everything. That's why we talk about tones, because tones, if you ever heard episode 1, it talks about, different things come in different tones. Music comes in tones. You have your voice, the way that you speak to people comes in tones. There's a tone that you have over text message. You ever had bad text interpretations? It's the worst, ain't it? Yeah, and people can't get your tone because, here you are. They got, movies have a tone. Stories have a tone. Just there's a tone, that goes to different things. Colors are tones, and you know what I'm saying? It's just tone is everywhere. You need tone. You can tone your body when you're working on it. Put things in shape. Put things in a certain whatever. So tone is a real thing. So that's what we're talking about. So tone and perspective, like the way. What's the tone? What's the tone of the way that you see things? It's a good question. I want to ask people a lot of times questions, and they got a way that you can click a link on this podcast somewhere in the description, and you can leave me a voicemail or something like that. So I think one lady did. She said her tone was people. I like that. But you can. What's your tone? And what tone do you see in it? So this is interesting. So just kind of readjusting our tone and not being stuck in no tones, right? Stuck in your own ways. So perspective is everything. And so I really want to have perspective on a good story that I love. I love Jesus, not for the reasons that everybody else does. There's no religious or super spiritual or churchy or Christian reason for it. My reason is totally because of reality, because of truth of reality and how some things are so simple. And I appreciate people that keep it simple, tell me simple, and tell me simply who I'm supposed to be, and keep me from being deceived by the fabrications that are all around me. I love Jesus for that. And this is a story where he and his disciples were on the ship. They were on the ship and they were going across to the other side. And it's very descriptive how it describes it. And I don't read it word for word, but it's very descriptive how he describes it. They said, there was a storm coming, and the storm was all around. The wind was blowing, and they said that Jesus was sleeping in the bottom of the ship, down in the bottom, at the bottom of the ship, down. If you've ever been on a boat, any kind of those boats, you can go down in there. It's not like the boats, they're fishing off of, and you can always go down in there, the passenger boats. And so he's down in there asleep. Storm going on, but he's asleep. And the disciples come along, so the disciples come and they wake him up because they're scared. They think the storm gonna make them go down. They say, "Don't you care that we perish?" And then Jesus rises up and comes to the top and he says, "Peace be still." Let me put the music down again. Peace be still. Right? That's how we always think it sounds, right? It's craziness, right? And the winds and the storm stops. And he turns around and says to them, "Where's your faith? Like what? Like, where's your faith?" And I think, and you got to hear me because I'm giving a different perspective, I think they missed the point of that question. And in fact, I almost believe that they really did miss the point of that question. Because they was like, and they were astonished. I'm like, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the storm and the seas obey him. Whoa. They hadn't seen stuff Jesus done already, right? And so over years, we read the story, we go on, and I've heard several preachers preach on it, I've heard people do all kind of different sermons on it. And it's always from the perspective of you didn't have enough faith to speak to the storm and tell it to stop. right? So now if you take that story, whatever, now you're trying to build your faith enough to speak to storms and talk to storms and different things of that nature. But let me give you a different perspective. Let's go back and rewind the story. The storm is going on. They're going to the other side first of all. Jesus on that thing. So he's so confident in who he is and his mission and what he's supposed to do and who he's supposed to be in. Or not who he's supposed to be, who he is and where he's supposed to be going. That it doesn't matter what comes up when I'm on my way there, because it can only be a distraction. Because of who I am is destined to be there. It doesn't matter what comes up. I'm going to the other side. Confidence. We've been diverted and we've been distracted to focus on the storm and focus on so many things that are in our way so much that we don't know what's, oh God, this is how it hits me sometimes. We're so focused to what's in our way that we don't know what's in our way. You know, we're the way that God does things, but we don't even know what's inside of us as the way because we're so worried about what's in our way. It's craziness. And so we have a tendency to take every story and everything that we see and we miss the basic principles. So now he's sleeping at the bottom of the ship. Now I always like to say that if Jesus is the express image of God in the flesh and what man looks like as God, or what God's image looks like in the flesh of man, then if he's sleeping, then that's the will of God. I don't care about what's going on the outside. I don't care what's going on around. If he's sleeping in the bottom of the ship, then that's where the wave is at. Like that's the wave, pardon the pun. But that's where it's supposed to be. That's where the will of God is, sleep in the bottom of the ship. So it seems to me that everybody was in error, because if y'all on the top of the ship being scared, the reason you out there scared because you can see all these things. Because if you'd have been down there sleeping in the bottom of the ship, you might not have even been worried about the things that you see, but you're out of place. Most of our problems that we do is because we're out of place. We're somewhere that we were never supposed to be in the first place, and now we're trying to pray our way out of some stuff that we never created ourselves. But if he's sleeping in the bottom of the ship, then the will of God is to be sleeping in the bottom of the ship. And it's very interesting because the storm and the waves go on, it's crashing upon the ship. They think they're going to die. And it doesn't say that Jesus woke up because it was storming and he felt like he needed to take care of the crew. And he felt like he needed to rebuke the storm to make sure that they would live. And it wasn't self-preserved. I'm trying to protect myself. So in the name of me, stop the wind. He didn't do any of that. The man was sleeping. They said they had to come wake him up, which means even while the storm is going on, he's not bothered. He's asleep and he's just chilling. They come wake him up because they're scared. The ones on the outside of the ship. Right, and to catch all the allegory and all the different parallels and different things, but the ones on the outside come in and wake up the one on the inside because they're scared about what's going on the outside. When the one on the inside is just sleeping like a baby because he know ain't nothing stop me because I'm on the inside and because I'm going where I'm supposed to go and I am who I am. But they miss it, so they wake up. So now Jesus has to get up and go stop the storm because they wanted to stop the storm. Now let me speak about the storm for a minute. You know, we have a tendency, I said this on one of my other podcasts, and I know people don't like it, but we have a tendency to we think everything is about us. And so we don't realize that the tree of life is all life around us. I mean, you look outside the trees and you don't even pay attention. That's God speaking to you in a way. You don't do any study. My bees finally, I got some bees, man. I got a beehive and they finally stayed. My first set of bees left me. But this set, I got it right. And they stayed and I went over another day and they're making comb and everything. So it's cool. But I learned so much about watching them and seeing how they function. And it's just nature. Nobody's teaching them anything. Nobody's giving them no lessons. They don't have to go to church every week. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to go to school. And they just innately know how to do things. I think we're like that too, but we've become so conditioned to conditioning a certain way. As triology can do this, it becomes ridiculous. But anyway, life is all around you. So if a storm shows up, there's a reason for winds and rains. You know, you can't control the rain or the wind or the floods or the way. I mean, we can't control it. Like you just can control your relation to it. And many times we complain because a storm is coming. In actuality, sometimes a storm is just a natural occurrence that happens. And so Jesus is able to sleep because he's in tandem with nature. So he knows that the storm is not there to attack him because he's not out of place because he's going where he's supposed to go. You know, we cry because our homes, you know, and I'm not knocking anybody. I hate, but I have to give perspective and tone because we call it tragedy. When we built in the storm, we built our homes in storm lane. And then when the storm comes on a yearly basis, we're praying that it don't hit us. When we built in the path of storms, it's been on that path for years and years and years and years just because we like to look at the water. I digress, but If the storm is going on, because he's one with God and he's one with nature, then he knows that the storm is not his enemy. The storm may come for a reason to shake some things up in the water. Who knows why it is? I said it on another podcast. We be praying for rain or praying for not for rain, and we think we're controlling something. We don't want the rain, but something needs rain sometimes. Like it's not a, so here he is sleeping at the bottom of the ship, and they come wake him up because they are scared, because they're gonna perish, because they're afraid. He didn't wake up because he's scared. He didn't wake up because he thought that something was wrong. They woke him up. Which means he didn't get up and voluntarily say, "Hey, y'all, we about to stop this storm." No, the man was asleep, and I guarantee if the story goes a different way, he's probably not waking up till they get to the other side. And all would have been well because the man is on the ship. But anyway, so now they wake him up. He gets up, and because they're afraid, he does. And this is so graceful of God. He does what they want. He does what they want because they're afraid. Whether the storm is needed or not, he does what they want because they're afraid. And I always equate that to, I learned some stuff about God because we think when we really don't have perspective. God will give you exactly what you want, even if he don't want it for you. We want a king. We want a king. No, you don't need a king. You just need to keep listening to the prophet. Listen what I'm saying. But we want a king. And they said this. Watch this. This sounds like the same story. But they got a king. They got a king. We want one. Oh, it's storming outside. Come tell it. Nobody observed to the fact that he was down there sleeping. If you really saw him, you should have went laid down. If you really understood what the will was and the way was and who like, you'd have went laid down. You wouldn't have woke him up and tried to get him out of the position he was in. And so here we are. We want a king. We want a king. We want a king. Okay, here, take a king. Now, I told y'all what's gonna happen. He gonna take your daughters and your sons. He gonna make your sons go to war. He gonna make your daughters whatever he won't make them, and it's gonna be a problem. And for years and years, you're gonna be in trouble. And sure enough, when you read through that, exact things happen. And then what's funny is a little bit after that, they wanted the king so bad, he picked the king for him. That's where Saul came from. He picked him and anointed him. God is something, boy. God said, "Listen, I'm not gonna violate your will. I'm just gonna keep my will going, and you're gonna have to relate the way that you do. Be it until according to your faith. The way you want it is the way where you're gonna get it." That's why submission to the will, thy will be done. Not nevertheless, not thy will is so important because it keeps you in a place of always working in tandem with the greater. So back to the story now. So that Jesus gets up and he says, "Where is your faith?" And this is what I heard. Everybody says, "Where's your faith? You couldn't rebuke the storm. You couldn't stop the storm." But this is what I heard. When I heard him say, "Where's your faith?" I heard him say, "Why you couldn't sleep through it?" That's what I heard. And the way I looked at you in your eyes just now, I feel like it's the same way. I feel like he looked at me in the eye and was like, "Where's your faith?" Translation: why you couldn't just sleep through it? And most of us are too woke to our issues. We're too woke to the storm. We woke, be woke. You're too woke to the problems, and you're too woke to the fear of what's going on because you've been conditioned that way or whatever. We're so woke to that we're trying to wake everybody else up. We go wake somebody else up. You go, "Help me out, help me this, help me," and you don't even realize that you just need to sleep through it. You're too conscious of the issues, right? Where you just should sleep through it. And if you knew the will and you knew he was the will and you knew he was who you thought he was, then your next thing is the faith. Your faith would have been, "Let me go lay down on the bottom of the ship too. Even though I might not understand, let me go lay down." He was not getting up, y'all. He was not getting up to rebuke that storm. That wasn't the miracle that he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to accomplish no miracle. The miracle would have been, I don't even wake up in a storm. Any of y'all ever been asleep in a storm or something like that, or sleep when, something going on or something crazy going on, loud noises, right? Like, I'm the type of person I could do that. I could sleep probably through a gunfight. Like, I probably could sleep through World War, whatever, booms and bombs and everything. And if I go to sleep, I'm probably gonna make it through. You might wake me up a little bit, but for the most part, when I go to sleep, my sleep is gonna be so sound that I'm gonna sleep straight through it. And here's the process. Here's him. Where's your faith really means, why couldn't you sleep through it? So I'm asking you, why can't you sleep through it? Well, the reason you can't sleep through it is because you don't trust your keeper too much. You don't trust the one. We got the whole world. You don't trust that. You don't believe that you have the whole world in your hands and you want to control everything, and we want to do it also. We're fearful about our own inadequacies. when the trust is in the truth. And so where is your faith? Sounds like, why couldn't you sleep through it? Like, why are y'all up here awake right now? What is going on? When you saw me go to sleep, you should have went down there and went to sleep too. But you're out of place. That's faith. Being able to sleep through a storm. You can't kill a dead man. And if I'm on the other side before I go there, then it doesn't matter what you say in between there, what you say you're gonna do. Are we gonna do this? It doesn't matter because I already know that I am on the other side already, so it doesn't matter what tries to stop me from getting there. And this is why we don't understand the promise that we are. So I just want to say this, and this one is a shorter one, but why can't you sleep through it? And that's a good question to ask. Why can't I sleep through it? These problems, these issues, why can't I just close my eyes, become unconscious to it, and sleep through it? Well, you gotta deal with them. Don't make me get on my last episode about dealing, but you gotta work. That's the way life is. You gotta work. Is that the way life is, really? Or is it because this is the tree that we've been eating off of for so doggone long that we created a new lane of life that don't look like the real lane of life? You got the lane of life, and you have another lane that's a counterfeit lane, but we believe in this one so much that we don't even see the truth in this one. Lay down. Go to sleep. You know, we like to say this in church, this too shall pass. That's going to pass. Like, chill out. Where's your faith? Why you can't sleep through it? I'm going to just let that ride for a minute. I'm about to be out here. This is the Tones Only. All right, y'all. Share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Or not. It's all good. Just change. All right.